Hi, today we're going to solve one-step inequalities. One-step inequalities are very much like equations, except instead of having an equal sign, you'll see like this one has a greater than sign, this one has a less than sign, and then some of them will have like a greater than or equal to sign or less than or equal to sign. And so our process for this is we will solve like equations except for one teensy weensy little detail. And we'll talk about that on the next slide when it comes up. So let's try this problem. So it says x minus 5 is greater than 3. Your goal will still be to get x by itself. So since it says minus 5, you are going to want to add 5 to both sides. Look, my spacing is still off. Okay, so you add 5 to both sides. When you do that, you're left with x, and then you have the same sign. This is greater than sign. It's towards the bottom right of your keyboard on top of the period. So shift, period, and then 3 plus 5 is 8. So this should look just like solving an equation. So what did we do? We added 5 to each side to get variable by itself. Shrink that font so it all fits in there. Okay, now this one says 3 times x is less than 2. Well, if we're going to take a time, like if it's 3 times x, we want to do the opposite. So the opposite of times is divide. So I'm going to actually move my text box up a little. So it looks like, actually, it's not going to let me do that. Underline if there's nothing to underline. So we're going to just put the 3 down here. We're going to divide both sides by 3. And here's what we'll do. We'll draw a line underneath both of those. So 3 divided by 3, and then 2 divided by 3. Those are beautiful lines. I know you're jealous of my art. Now 3 divided by 3, that will give us x. Jeez. So we have x is less than 3. Oh, x is less than 2 divided by 3. Fractions are okay, so you'd want this one to say x is less than 2/3. So what did we do? We divided both sides by 3. Now, here is the teensy weensy little detail. The inequality sign, it stays the same unless you divide or multiply by a negative number. If you divide or multiply by a negative value, the inequality sign flips. So here's what this looks like. Let me just do it this way again. Draw our lines down here. We are dividing both of those sides by a negative 3. When you do that, those cancel, so you're left with x. 6 divided by negative 3 is negative 2. But here in the middle, since you divided both sides by negative 3, you're going to flip the sign. So since it said greater than, you want it to say less than. So what did we do? Divide both sides by negative 3, and we flip the sign. Inequality sign. Okay. On this one, we would multiply both sides by a negative 2. And so when we do that, negative 2 times, well, this is the 2's on the bottom, so those cancel. You're left with x. And then 5 times negative 2 is negative 10. And then when you look to the sign, since we multiplied both sides by negative 2, you know what? I don't want to use this. That looks like an x. I'm going to use the star instead. That looks more like times -2. We need to flip the sign because we multiplied by -2. So since it was a less than, now it's going to be a greater than. So what did we do? Multiplied both sides by -2 and flipped the sign. Okay, stay tuned for video 2 for the next page.